What if I told you the Roman Empire didn't collapse because of barbarians? Not because of corrupt emperors, not even because of endless wars. What if the real enemy was something far more invisible and far more familiar? Prices rising, coins shrinking, salaries losing meaning. Rome didn't just fall to swords, it bled out through inflation. And the most shocking part, the Romans knew what was happening, and still couldn't stop it. Tonight, we're uncovering how the most powerful economy of the ancient world slowly destroyed its own money, and why the same patterns are repeating today. To understand Rome's inflation crisis, you first have to understand how Roman money worked. Early Rome had a surprisingly stable financial system. The backbone of the economy was the silver denarius. Introduced around 211 BCE for generations, it was trusted across Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. Why? Because Roman money had real metal value. A denarius contained roughly 4.5 grams of silver. No paper promises, no central bank magic. Just weight and purity. Taxes were collected in coin. Soldiers were paid in coin. Trade flowed because merchants trusted Roman money more than local currencies. But hidden beneath this stability was a dangerous dependency. Rome's economy was built on constant expansion. Conquest brought silver mines, war loot, slaves, and land. As long as Rome kept winning, money stayed strong. But what happens when an empire stops expanding? That's where the cracks began. The inflation crisis didn't start overnight. It started with a tiny decision that seemed harmless. By the 1st century BCE, Rome's military costs were exploding. Standing armies replaced temporary citizen soldiers. Veterans demanded pensions. Civil wars drained the treasury. Instead of raising taxes, always politically dangerous, leaders found a quieter solution. They reduced the silver content of coins. The denarius still looked the same stamp, same size, same authority of Rome. But inside, less silver. Under Emperor Nero, the silver content of the denarius dropped by about 10%. Most people didn't notice. Markets kept working. The empire moved on. But Rome had crossed a line. Once debasement worked once, it became policy. Every new crisis, plague, war, rebellion was solved the same way: mint more coins using less silver. By the 2nd century CE, emperors were locked in a deadly cycle. More soldiers meant more pay. More pay meant more coins. More coins required less metal. By the time of Emperor Commodus, the silver content had dropped to around 70%. By the mid-3rd century, less than 5%. Coins weren't really silver anymore. Were bronze discs with a thin silver wash, essentially ancient inflation tokens. And people noticed. Inflation doesn't destroy economies instantly. It destroys trust first. Merchants began weighing coins instead of counting them. Prices changed daily. Soldiers demanded higher pay just to afford bread. A chicken that once cost 1 denarius now cost 50. Then 100. Then more than salaries could cover. The government responded the only way it knew how: print more money. This made things worse. By the 3rd century CE, Rome faced hyperinflation. Coinage lost credibility. Trade reverted to barter. Taxes were demanded in grain, cattle, or labor instead of money. Money, the glue of empire, was dissolving. Consequences spread everywhere. Cities shrank as trade collapsed. Middle classes vanished. Wealth concentrated in landowners who could survive without cash. The state responded with price controls. Emperor Diocletian famously issued the edict on maximum prices, fixing wages and goods across the empire. The result? It's black markets, shortages, executions for price crimes. Inflation didn't disappear. It went underground. Rome wasn't just losing money, it was losing economic coordination. Constantine tried a final solution. He introduced the gold solidus, a high-purity gold coin meant to restore trust. It worked for elites. But gold didn't circulate among ordinary people. The poor still used debased coins or none at all. The empire split into two economic realities: a gold-based elite economy, a collapsing mass economy. Rome survived politically for a while longer, but economically, the damage was irreversible. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Rome's inflation crisis wasn't ancient or primitive. It followed the same pattern we see today: massive government spending, political resistance to taxes.
rise.
Monetary expansion is a temporary fix, gradual erosion of trust, rising prices, and social strain in Rome. Silver content fell over 95%. In the modern world, currencies have lost over 90% of their purchasing power in the last century alone. Different tools. Same logic. Inflation isn't just about money. It's about choices. First, inflation begins as a solution, not a disaster. Rome debased coins to survive short-term crises just like governments do today. Second, trust matters more than metal or paper. Once people stop believing in money, economies fracture. Third, you can't print your way out of real economic limits. Rome tried for centuries and paid the price. The Roman Empire didn't wake up one day bankrupt. It slowly traded stability for convenience until the bill came due. And the question we're left with isn't, why did Rome collapse? Are we watching the same movie again with different actors? If you want more deep dives into the hidden economic forces behind empires past and present like this video, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment with the next empire you want explained. History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes.